Hey, I'm back again to do another episode for my podcast. I want to talk about being in the midst of a trial. Being in the midst of a trial is so confusing. Being in the midst of a trial will make you want to run the other way. Because you be saying to yourself, what have I gotten myself into? It seems like the further you go into your trial, the worse it gets. And when you're in the midst of your trial, it's like you in the middle. Like, you gotta go far. You gotta swim very far to get back to shore. And when you sit back and you look around and you see how far the shore is, you saying to yourself, I am all the way out here in the midst of nowhere. And in order for me to get back to shore, I'm going to have to struggle and fight for my life to get back to safety. But sometimes you don't see a life, a raft. You don't see anything there that'll get you back there, so you too far away from shore. You too far away from the landing. And you saying to yourself, either I continue on to where I'm going, or stay where I'm at and sink. I've been in the midst of trials plenty of times. And I always try to go back to shore. And the reason why I try to go back to shore is because where I'm at, I don't feel safe. And I don't feel secure. I don't know where I'm at. And I keep thinking to myself, if I stay here, I'm going to sink and drown. So you try to do everything you can to get back to shore. And the more you fight, the more you stay in the middle. You say to yourself, it's nothing I could do. I might as well just ride it out until help comes. Like I said, I've been in the midst of a trial plenty of times. It is the most scariest thing that you can experience. Because a lot of times when you're in the midst of a trial, it's unfamiliar territory to you. You seeing things you never saw before. You're not even sure if you're in the right place. There's no sign, there's no evidence that you are going in the right direction. So because you are unsure, you fight to get back to landing, to the shore. And then when you try to fight to get back to the landing, it's much harder to get back to the landing than it was to get back or to get to where you at now, in the middle. When you are in the middle of a trial, oh my God, it is the most scariest. Because like I said before, nothing is familiar to you. And you don't even know why you are in the midst of a trial. You don't even know why you are at where you at. You thought that when you entered the trial that it was going to be easy. But then you find out that this is one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my life. And I don't even know why I tried this, because I never tried this before. You feel more safer doing what you usually do. And what you usually do does not bring out any good results. Like, if you continue to do what you usually do, you will be stagnant. Because you tried this many times before and you landed up right where you didn't want to be. So you said to yourself, what do I have to do to change the direction of my life? Being in the midst of a trial is a conundrum. Because You made a decision to do something different. And because you made that decision to do something different, you are in a different place. And that different place is unfamiliar. It's not comfortable. And you don't like where you at. So now you fighting to go back to shore. But when your efforts are futile, you start fighting. And what you need to understand is that is where God wants you to be. He wants you to be far away from all your resources. He wants you to be far away from all your options. He wants you to be far away from all your friends and all the people that you call when you need help. Because really, when you're in the midst of a trial, nobody can help you but God. So now you are forced to depend and rely on somebody that you don't really know. You thought you knew him until you got into the midst of your trial. You thought you knew him when you got into the middle of nowhere and you don't see anyone in sight. So what do? Do you sink or do you wait for help? See, God wants you in the middle of nowhere because he wants all that fight that you got inside of you to stop. Because when you stop fighting, that's when you come submissive. And God wants you submissive because he wants you to get to a place in your life where you will stand still and watch the salvation of the Lord. I know it's scary because I've been there. I have been there so many times where I was just fighting in the dark. I didn't know what I was doing. And I've become frustrated because, look, I've tried everything that I used to do before and it didn't work. And I even tried some new stuff. That didn't work. So what am I to do? If I stand still, I'll sink. So is God going to rescue me? Or is he going to allow me to fail and sink to the bottom where I'll drown and then there will be no more me? But see, that's where God wants to get you, in the middle of nowhere with no help. And sometimes when you're in the middle of nowhere and you need help and you call for help, people be like, I don't know if I want to go all the way out there where you at because I don't know nothing about this place that you are in. So when you are in the midst of your trials, nobody can help you. And what you don't understand is that that's where God wants you to be. He don't need nobody to help him with you. He wants you to be at a place very vulnerable. Because see, when you vulnerable, you scared. And see, when God gives you instructions, you listen because nobody else came to help you. And what do? When nobody comes to help you, you got to depend on somebody or something. And that's when God kicks in. Because like I said before, he don't need your help to help him. See, this is where he wants you to be. Because he don't want nobody to get the credit for him rescuing you. You know why? Because he wants you to have a testimony. He wants you to tell the people that you was out in the middle of the ocean, no rafters, no boats, nobody came to help you, and he came. Because you know, God is supernatural. He does things that nobody else could do. And that's what he's been trying to tell you all along. That I am the creator of the heavens and the earth and everything in it. I am in control of everything. Everything is submissive to me. So all those times that you've been talking to people and telling them how you trust and believe in God, when you are in the midst of nowhere, this is where your trust gets tested. Are you going to panic? Are you going to give up and die? Or are you going to wait for the Lord? Because I'm telling you, when Moses ran up to that, what was it, an ocean, river, a sea? He didn't know God was going to part the sea. He didn't know that God was going to part the sea so all him and all the Israelites could cross over. He didn't know that once the Israelites crossed over and made it safely to shore, that he was going to close up the ocean or the river or the sea so that those Egyptians that was chasing them would be drowned and they would not be an enemy to the Israelites no more. What I am telling you is that when you are in the midst of your trials, that's God trying to get you to a place where he can show himself awesome. He said, when you let go, that's when I pick up. Because I don't need no help from you. I could do what I do all by myself. Like he asked Job, where was you when I created the world? Where was you when I created land and the firmaments? Where was you when I made a place for the oceans and the rivers and the seas to run through? You wasn't there with me. You didn't help me with none of that. So why do I need help to rescue you? See, this is what you don't understand. Is that you are trusting and believing in somebody that is so awesome. But let me tell you something. God does not break his own rules. He gave us dominion over this world. He told us what to do. He said, you have dominion over this earth. I want you to reproduce. I want you to be fruitful. I want you to do all the things that I told you to do in my word. And that's the thing. See, we try to add and we try to take away from what his word is saying. And he said, don't do that. He said, because my word is final. I don't need you to add anything to it because I wrote it. It's already done. So all you got to do is believe what my word says. And if you don't believe, he said, I don't need a lot of faith. All I need is a mustard seed. I just need a little bit. Because I understand that you would doubt. Because the people of this world today, we need receipts. We need proof. And God said, all you got to do is just give me a little bit of faith and I'll stretch it. I'll stretch your faith wide and large. Because I can work with anything you give me because I don't need nothing from you. But because a little bit is all you have to offer, I'll work with that. Because I know that if I allow you to just give me a little bit and I'll make it work, I know that you'll be running down the aisles. I know that you'll be like the woman at the well that go and tell everybody about me. He said, because that's why I am so awesome. I only need a little bit. So if you find yourself in the midst of a trial and you can't see nobody for miles and miles and it's a long way to the shores, that's where God wants you to be. He wants you to be away from all your resources and all your friends and all your help. He said, because I am your help. And I allowed you to get to the middle of nowhere away from anybody that you call. He said, don't call them, call me. Because I will come when nobody else will. So when you in the middle of your trials and it seems like you ain't got nowhere to go, let me tell you, God is looking down at you. And he's saying, you right where I want you to be. Because he's going to give you a testimony that's going to make you run all over the place. You're going to be shouting from the mountaintops, telling people of how awesome God is. And like I said before, I said I didn't start off doing this podcast to talk about Jesus, but this is where I'm at. This is where all those podcasts led up to. God had to give me a foundation. And I'm so glad he did. Because let me tell you, Like I said in previous podcasts, I never thought that I would be here today talking about how awesome God is. But I remember he told me when I was a little girl what I would be doing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. God puts his plan in your heart at the very beginning. And you would sit back and say, God, why? God, why did you allow this to happen to me? Because I didn't do nothing to deserve it. He's telling you now this is why. He had his plan in you already from the beginning. This is why he allowed you to go through all those things that you couldn't understand. This is why you were so confused as a child. Because he was doing his thing in your life. He said all things work together for the good of those who are called according to his purpose. See, the enemy wants you to think that his word doesn't work. His promises are not true. God keeps all his promises. I'm telling you now. So now my podcast is not for people who don't believe, because I am a believer. I trust and depend on God. When I listen to his word, I jump with joy, because all his secrets and his words are unfolding in front of me. I'm so happy. My heart is so filled with joy, because I am so glad that he has chosen me to speak his word, to give his message. Because before I started talking, I said, God, fill me up. I only want to say what you want me to say. That's why he groomed me from the very beginning. He was there with me all along. He allowed me to go through those experiences so that I could know how to speak. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm so glad that he chose me. And he has chosen you too. Because if you listen to me, you are part of his plan. I'm so glad that you stuck with me until the end. Because you didn't have to. And I promise the next time that I come back, I will come back with more interesting topics to talk about. Thank you.